The stars above Earth burned with the light of dying ships. Metal and crystal fragments drifted through space like deadly snow, catching the sunlight as they tumbled past the blue planet below. What had been the mighty Zephyrian war fleet just hours before now looked like a broken necklace scattered across the darkness. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the human flagship New Dawn, watching the destruction through the main viewing screen. Her gray uniform was wrinkled from 3 days of constant battle, and her dark eyes showed the weight of command. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, their faces lit by the soft glow of computer screens. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Torres from the communications station. "The alien command ship is requesting to surrender." Chen nodded slowly. After 2 years of hit-and-run attacks by the Zephyrians, after the destruction of Luna Base and the loss of 30,000 human lives, this moment felt almost too good to be true. Humanity had finally struck back, and they had won. "Tell them we accept," Chen said. "Prepare boarding teams. Full security protocols." On the observation deck 3 levels below, nearly 2,000 civilians and off-duty personnel pressed against the massive transparent walls that looked out into space. These were the families of soldiers, the engineers who had built the weapons that won this battle, the doctors who would treat the wounded. They had earned the right to witness this moment. Maya Rodriguez moved through the crowd carefully, her engineer's toolkit still hanging from her belt. She was 26 years old, with short black hair and oil stains on her work clothes that she had not had time to change. Her shift in the engine room had ended an hour ago, but like everyone else, she could not stay away from the viewing deck. "Look at them burn," said a voice beside her. Maya turned to see Commander Walsh, a tall man with angry eyes and fresh bandages on his left hand. "After what they did to my unit on Europa, they deserve worse." Maya did not reply. She understood the anger. The Zephyrians had been raiding human colonies for 2 years, taking supplies and technology, sometimes entire populations. No one knew why. The alien ships would appear without warning, strike fast, and disappear before human forces could respond. Until today. "There," someone shouted from the front of the crowd. "They're bringing her over." Through the viewing wall, Maya could see a small transport ship moving slowly toward their vessel. It was clearly damaged, with scorch marks along its silver hull and one engine glowing dim red instead of the usual bright blue. Inside that ship was the alien queen who had commanded the attack fleet. Maya had seen images of Zephyrians before, captured from security cameras during raids. They were tall and elegant, with smooth skin that changed color like oil on water. Their faces were almost human but stretched longer, with large eyes that reflected light like mirrors. Most humans thought they looked beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The transport ship disappeared into the docking bay below them. Within minutes, the crowd could hear the heavy footsteps of Marines in the corridors nearby. Everyone knew the alien queen was being brought aboard as a prisoner. "I want to see her," Walsh said, his voice hard. "I want to look in her alien eyes when she realizes she lost." Other people in the crowd nodded and murmured agreement. Maya felt uncomfortable. She had never been a soldier, never lost friends in battle like these people had. Her war had been fought in engine rooms and weapons factories, building the technology that made today's victory possible. The main doors to the observation deck opened, and a squad of human Marines entered. They wore full combat armor and carried energy weapons at the ready. Behind them came their prisoner. Queen Vela of the Zephyrian Empire walked with her head held high despite the restraints around her wrists. She was taller than Maya had expected, nearly 7 feet, and her skin showed patterns of deep blue and silver that shifted as she moved. Her long hair was white as starlight, and her large eyes seemed to take in everything around her with sharp intelligence. The crowd fell silent as the Marines led her through the center of the observation deck. This was the enemy commander who had ordered attacks on human worlds, who had been responsible for so much death and suffering. Now she was here, defeated and captured. Maya studied the alien queen's face as she passed. She expected to see anger there, or fear, or the cold calculation of a military leader planning her next move. Instead, she saw something that surprised her completely. Queen Vela looked sad. Not just defeated or disappointed, but deeply, genuinely sad. Her large eyes reflected the light from the viewing wall, and for just a moment, Maya thought she saw them glisten with what might have been tears. The Marine squad stopped near the center of the observation deck. Captain Brooks, their leader, raised his hand to get the crowd's attention. By order of Admiral Chen, he announced, Queen Vela of the Zephyrian Empire is now a prisoner of the United Earth Defense Force. She will be held according to military law pending trial for crimes against humanity. The crowd erupted in cheers. Fists pumped in the air, and voices called out for justice. Some shouted worse things, demanding immediate punishment. Captain Brooks let them celebrate for a moment, then raised his hand again for silence. The Admiral wants her to see the results of her aggression, he continued, gesturing toward the viewing wall where the broken alien fleet drifted. She ordered this attack. Now she can watch her ships die. Queen Vela turned toward the viewing wall. Her expression did not change, but Maya saw her shoulders tense slightly. Outside in space, one of the larger Zephyrian vessels was breaking apart, its crystalline structure cracking like ice. Tiny lights flickered in the darkness around it, escape pods, Maya realized. Some of the alien crew were still alive and trying to escape their dying ship. Good, someone in the crowd said. Let her watch her people burn. Maya looked at Queen Vela again. The alien leader was indeed watching the destruction, but her expression was not what Maya expected. There was no cold acceptance of military loss, no strategic calculation of acceptable casualties. Instead, Queen Vela looked like someone watching her family die. That was when Maya noticed something that made her engineering mind shift into analysis mode. The escape pods from the alien ships were not moving in normal patterns. They should have been heading toward the few undamaged Zephyrian vessels, or at least trying to establish stable orbits. Instead, they were drifting randomly, their lights flickering in ways that suggested power failures. Maya knew emergency systems. She had designed some of the life support equipment used in human escape pods. What she was seeing in space looked like massive technical failures, the kind that meant people were dying not from battle damage but from simple system breakdowns. Their life support is failing, she said quietly. The person next to her turned with a confused look. What? The escape pods, Maya said, pointing toward the viewing wall. Look at their movement patterns. Look at how their lights are flickering. Their emergency life support systems are failing. Commander Walsh overheard and stepped closer. So what? After what they did to us, they can suffocate in space for all I care. Maya looked at him, then back at Queen Vela. The alien leader had not heard their conversation, but she was still watching the failing escape pods with that same expression of deep sadness. Maya realized something that made her stomach twist with understanding. Queen Vela was not just watching her military forces die. She was watching her people die. And she knew they were dying from preventable technical failures, not honorable battle wounds. Captain Brooks, Maya called out, raising her voice to be heard over the celebrating crowd. The Marine captain turned toward her with an annoyed expression. What is it, engineer? Sir, I think there's something wrong with their emergency systems. The escape pods are showing signs of critical life support failure. Brooks shrugged. Not our problem. They should have thought about that before they attacked us. Maya felt a strange heat building in her chest. Around her, the crowd was still celebrating, still calling for vengeance. But she was thinking about the engineering problem in front of her. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people were dying in space because their technology was failing them. It did not matter that they were aliens. It did not matter that they had been enemies just hours ago. They were people, and they were dying from problems that could be fixed. Sir, Maya tried again. We could help them. Human life support technology is compatible with most biological systems. We could. Engineer Rodriguez, Captain Brooks cut her off sharply. You are out of line. These are enemy combatants. They're dying, Maya said more loudly. The crowd around her was starting to notice the conversation. Some people looked curious. Others, like Commander Walsh, looked angry. They should die, Walsh said. After Europa, after Luna Base, after everything they've done to us, why should we help them? Maya looked around the observation deck. She saw faces full of anger and hatred, people who had lost friends and family to alien attacks. She understood their feelings. But she also saw Queen Vela, still watching her people die, and she thought about the engineering problem that was killing them. Because we can, Maya said simply. The observation deck had gone almost completely quiet now. Everyone was looking at her, this young engineer in dirty work clothes who was suggesting they help their enemies. Maya felt her heart beating fast, but she also felt something else building inside her. A certainty that this was important in ways she could not fully explain. Queen Vela had noticed the commotion and was looking at Maya now. Their eyes met across the crowd, two very different beings from two different worlds. Maya saw intelligence in those large alien eyes, and pain, and something that might have been hope. Because we can, Maya repeated, louder this time. She pushed through the crowd toward the center of the deck, toward where Queen Vela stood surrounded by armed Marines. Rodriguez, stand down, Captain Brooks ordered. Maya ignored him. She was thinking like an engineer now, seeing problems that needed solutions rather than enemies that needed punishment. She stopped a few feet away from Queen Vela and spoke directly to the alien queen. Your people are dying in those ships. Their life support systems are failing. I can help them. Queen Vela stared at her for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was clear but had a musical quality that human voices lacked. Why would you help us? We are your enemies. Maya looked back at the crowd, at all the angry faces and clenched fists. Then she looked at the viewing wall, where more alien escape pods were going dark as their power failed. Finally, she looked back at Queen Vela. Because they don't have to be, Maya said. She stepped forward, extending her hand toward the alien queen. Around them, the observation deck held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. The observation deck remained frozen in silence as Maya's hand hung in the air between her and Queen Vela. 2,000 humans watched, waiting to see if their enemy would accept help from the very people she had been trying to destroy just hours earlier. Queen Vela stared at Maya's outstretched hand. Her large eyes reflected the starlight coming through the viewing wall, and for a moment she seemed to be calculating something far more complex than a simple gesture of assistance. You would help us, Queen Vela said slowly, after what we have done to your people. Maya kept her hand steady. I would help anyone who was dying if I could save them. Captain Brooks stepped forward, his weapon raised slightly. Engineer Rodriguez, step back immediately. That's an order. Wait. The voice came from behind them, and everyone turned to see Admiral Chen walking onto the observation deck. Her gray uniform was crisp now, and her expression was unreadable. The crowd parted as she approached the center of the deck. Admiral, Captain Brooks began, the engineer is. I heard what the engineer is doing, Chen interrupted. She looked at Maya, then at Queen Vela, then at the viewing wall where more alien escape pods were losing power every minute. Rodriguez, you said their life support systems are failing? Yes, Admiral, Maya replied, lowering her hand but maintaining eye contact with Queen Vela. I've been monitoring the escape pod signals for the last 10 minutes. Their emergency power systems are incompatible with their life support technology. It's a design flaw that becomes critical during extended emergencies. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. And you believe you can fix this problem? Not fix it, Maya said. But I can work around it. Human emergency life support uses different power distribution methods. If we could get our portable units to their pods, we could keep their people alive long enough to transfer them to stable ships. Commander Walsh pushed through the crowd, his bandaged hand clenched in a fist. "Admiral, you can't be seriously considering this. These aliens killed 30,000 of our people. They destroyed Luna Base. My entire unit died on Europa because of her orders." He pointed at Queen Vela with obvious hatred. The crowd murmured agreement. Voices rose calling for justice, for revenge, for letting the aliens die in space. Maya felt the weight of their anger, understanding it even as she disagreed with it. Admiral Chen raised her hand for silence. "Commander Walsh, I understand your feelings. We all do. But I'm not making this decision based on emotion." She looked directly at Queen Vela. "I'm making it based on information I need." Queen Vela met the Admiral's gaze without flinching. "What information do you seek? Why did you attack us?" Chen asked simply. "Your technology is clearly advanced. You have faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, ships that can appear anywhere in our solar system. If you wanted to conquer Earth, you could have done it 2 years ago. Instead, you've been conducting raids, taking supplies and people but never staying to occupy territory. Why?" The alien queen hesitated. Maya could see a conflict playing out behind those large eyes, as if Queen Vela was weighing the value of secrets against the lives of her people. "If I tell you," Queen Vela said finally, "will you help save my people?" "If your answer convinces me that helping you serves humanity's interests," Chen replied, "then yes." Maya watched this exchange with growing understanding. Admiral Chen was not just being humanitarian. She was being strategic, using the crisis to gain intelligence that could prevent future conflicts. Queen Vela looked at the viewing wall again, where another escape pod had just gone dark. When she spoke, her voice carried a weight that Maya had not heard before. "We are not conquerors," the alien queen said. "We are refugees." The observation deck erupted in skeptical murmurs, but Admiral Chen gestured for quiet. "Explain." 3 of your years ago, something began consuming our home galaxy," Queen Vela continued. "We call it the Void Plague. It spreads from star system to star system, destroying everything it touches. Not just planets or ships, but space itself. Where it passes, nothing can exist." Maya felt her engineering mind engaging with this new information. "You're talking about some kind of weapon that destroys the fabric of space-time?" "Not a weapon," Queen Vela replied, looking at Maya with what might have been respect. "Something worse. Something that feeds on the energy that holds reality together. We do not know what created it, but we know it cannot be stopped by any technology we possess." Admiral Chen stepped closer. "So you came here looking for a new home?" "Yes," Queen Vela said. "But not to take your world from you. We needed resources, technology, genetic samples. We hope to find a way to coexist, or to find uninhabited worlds in your galaxy suitable for our people." "Then why attack us?" Commander Walsh demanded. "Why not just ask for help?" Queen Vela's skin patterns shifted to darker blues, a sign Maya was beginning to recognize as embarrassment or shame. "Because we were afraid. The last 3 species we encountered tried to destroy us when they learned of the Void Plague. They believed we would bring it with us, infect their galaxy as ours had been infected." Maya felt pieces clicking together in her mind. "So you decided to take what you needed by force rather than risk being refused." "It was a mistake," Queen Vela admitted. "My advisors convinced me that quick raids would be less likely to trigger a large-scale war than formal contact. We thought we could take what we needed and disappear before your people could organize a response." Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment, processing this information. Around the observation deck, the crowd waited. Maya could see people struggling with this new understanding of their enemy. "The Void Plague," Chen said finally. "Is it following you here?" Queen Vela's silence was answer enough. Maya felt her stomach drop. "It's already on its way, isn't it? Our long-range sensors detected the leading edge entering this galaxy 6 months ago," Queen Vela confirmed. It will reach this solar system within 2 of your years, possibly less. The observation deck exploded in panicked voices. People shouted questions, demanded more information, called for immediate evacuation plans. Admiral Chen let the chaos continue for a moment, then called for silence again. "So that's why you're really here," Chen said to Queen Vela. "You need our help to fight this thing." "We need each other," Queen Vela corrected. "Your people have something we have never seen before. You adapt, you innovate, you find solutions that others cannot imagine. In 2 years of studying your responses to our raids, we learned more about creative problem-solving than we had in centuries of our own research." Maya looked around the observation deck and saw understanding dawning on people's faces. The Zephyrians had not just been raiding for supplies. They had been studying humanity, trying to understand what made humans different. "You think we can find a way to stop the Void Plague," Maya said. "We think you are our only hope," Queen Vela replied. Admiral Chen turned to Maya. "Rodriguez, you still want to help save their people?" Maya looked at the viewing wall, where the last few escape pods were sending increasingly weak distress signals. She thought about the Void Plague consuming entire star systems, about the fear that had driven the Zephyrians to attack rather than ask for help. She thought about 2 years of unnecessary war that could have been avoided if both species had been willing to trust each other. "Yes, Admiral," Maya said firmly. "Now more than ever." "Then you have my authorization to begin rescue operations," Chen said. "But you'll be working with Queen Vela. I want her people to see humans saving their lives, and I want our people to see that cooperation is possible." Captain Brooks looked uncomfortable. "Admiral, security protocols will be maintained," Chen finished. "But they'll be adjusted for the new situation. As of now, Queen Vela is not just a prisoner. She's a consultant on the most important crisis humanity has ever faced." Maya stepped forward and extended her hand to Queen Vela again. This time, the alien queen reached out with her long, elegant fingers and grasped Maya's hand. The skin was warm and surprisingly soft, with a slight texture like fine silk. "What do you need from me?" Queen Vela asked. Maya smiled, feeling the familiar excitement of a challenging engineering problem. "I need to understand your people's biology, your ship systems, and your emergency protocols. Then we're going to save as many lives as possible." Within minutes, Maya found herself in an emergency transport with Queen Vela and a squad of Marines, heading toward the nearest damaged Zephyrian ship. Admiral Chen had authorized full emergency rescue protocols, and the human fleet was mobilizing every available resource. As their transport approached the alien vessel, Maya could see the extent of the damage. The ship's crystalline hull was cracked in dozens of places, and several sections were completely dark. But Maya could also see movement in the lighted areas, signs that hundreds of Zephyrians were still alive inside. "The main power coupling is there," Queen Vela said, pointing to a section of the ship's exterior. "If your people can establish a connection, we can route emergency power from your ship to our life support systems." Maya studied the alien technology, her mind already working on interface solutions. "It won't be easy. Our power systems operate on completely different principles. But I think I can build an adapter." "How long will it take?" the Marine pilot asked. Maya looked at Queen Vela, then at the failing ship. "If we work together." 2 hours. "My people have perhaps 1 hour of emergency air remaining," Queen Vela said quietly. Maya grinned, the expression startling Queen Vela. "Then we'd better work fast." As their transport docked with the alien ship, Maya felt something she had not experienced since the war began: hope. Not just hope for survival, but hope that 2 very different species might find a way to face an impossible enemy together. The real work was just beginning. The damaged Zephyrian ship groaned around Maya as she worked inside its crystalline corridors. The walls pulsed with faint blue light, and the air tasted of metals she could not identify. Beside her, Queen Vela moved with practiced grace despite the emergency, her long fingers dancing over alien control panels as she rerouted power systems. "There," Maya said, connecting the last cable from her improvised adapter to the Zephyrian power coupling. "Try it now." Queen Vela activated the connection, and immediately the corridor brightened as human emergency power flowed into the alien ship's life support systems. Around them, Maya could hear the sound of ventilation systems coming back online, bringing fresh air to hundreds of Zephyrians who had been slowly suffocating. "Impossible," Queen Vela whispered, staring at Maya's adapter device. "Our engineers calculated that human and Zephyrian technology were completely incompatible." Maya grinned as she checked her readings. "That's because your engineers were thinking like engineers. Sometimes you have to think like a mechanic instead." She pointed to the adapter, which was held together with salvaged parts and creative wiring. "It's not elegant, but it works." Through the ship's communication system, Maya could hear voices speaking in the musical Zephyrian language. Queen Vela translated the major updates as they worked their way through the ship, checking on survivor groups and establishing emergency connections. "Captain Wren reports all personnel in Section 7 are now stable," Queen Vela said. "Engineering Chief Cole says the nursery levels have full life support restored." Maya stopped working for a moment. "Nursery levels? Our children," Queen Vela explained simply. "When we fled our dying worlds, we brought everyone. Military vessels, civilian ships, families. This is not just my war fleet, Maya Rodriguez. This is what remains of my people." Maya felt the weight of that statement. She had been thinking in terms of military casualties and enemy combatants. But Queen Vela was talking about an entire civilization packed into these damaged ships, refugees carrying everything they could save from a cosmic disaster. "How many?" Maya asked quietly. "Across all vessels?" "Perhaps 2 million Zephyrians," Queen Vela replied. "The last survivors of 12 star systems." Maya looked around the corridor, seeing it differently now. This was not just a warship. It was an ark, carrying the hopes of an entire species. And for the past 2 hours, she had been saving lives that represented irreplaceable pieces of an ancient culture. "We need to get word to Admiral Chen," Maya said. "If there are 2 million people in your fleet, the rescue operation is going to be much bigger than anyone realized." Queen Vela nodded, but before she could respond, both human and alien communicators activated simultaneously with urgent messages. "Rodriguez, this is Admiral Chen. Report to the flagship immediately. We have a situation." "My queen," came another voice in the Zephyrian language. Queen Vela's skin patterns shifted to deep purple as she listened, then translated for Maya. "Our long-range sensors have detected something approaching this star system," Queen Vela said, her voice tight with controlled fear. "The Void Plague has arrived ahead of schedule." Maya felt ice form in her stomach. "How long do we have?" 6 of your months, Queen Vela replied. "Perhaps less." Within an hour, Maya found herself in the main conference room aboard the New Dawn, surrounded by the highest-ranking human military officials and civilian leaders. Queen Vela sat at the far end of the table, no longer restrained but clearly still considered a prisoner by most of the humans present. Admiral Chen activated the main display screen, showing a three-dimensional map of the local galaxy. At the edge of the map, a growing dark area marked the advance of the Void Plague. "Based on information provided by Queen Vela and confirmed by our deep space observation stations," Chen began, "we are facing an extinction-level threat that makes our recent conflict irrelevant." General Harrison, head of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward. "Admiral, with respect, how do we know this isn't some elaborate alien trick? They attack us for 2 years, then conveniently reveal a cosmic threat that requires us to work together." Queen Vela spoke before Admiral Chen could respond. "General Harrison, your people have destroyed half my fleet and captured my flagship. If this were a deception, I would not have revealed our weakened state to gain your cooperation." "She has a point," said Dr. Kim, the head of Earth's Scientific Council. The energy readings we're detecting from the approaching phenomenon match nothing in our database. This appears to be genuine. Maya had been studying the tactical display while the others talked. Queen Vela, your people have been fighting this thing for 3 years. What have you learned about it? Too little, Queen Vela admitted. The void plague consumes space itself, breaking down the basic forces that hold matter together. Our most advanced weapons have no effect. Traditional defenses are useless. But you said earlier that you think humans might find a solution your people missed, Maya pressed. Why? Queen Vela's skin patterns shifted to warmer colors as she looked around the conference table. Because in 2 days of working together, we have accomplished things that neither of our species achieved alone. Your adapter device, Maya Rodriguez, should have been impossible according to our science. Yet it works perfectly. Admiral Chen activated another section of the display. Which brings us to the real question we're here to discuss. Queen Vela has made a proposal. The room fell silent as everyone waited. Maya could feel the tension in the air, the weight of decisions that would affect both species. I offer a formal alliance between our peoples, Queen Vela said clearly. Complete technological exchange, combined research efforts, unified military command. Everything my people know about the Void Plague, shared freely with human scientists. Our shield technology and advanced materials, integrated with human innovation and adaptability. General Harrison stood up sharply. Absolutely not. We're supposed to trust the people who have been killing us for 2 years. General, Maya said, surprised by her own boldness in interrupting, we just saved 800 alien lives using technology that shouldn't work. If we can make power adapters that violate both species' understanding of physics, maybe we can find a way to stop something that destroys space itself. Dr. Kim nodded thoughtfully. The theoretical possibilities are intriguing. If their technology really is as advanced as it appears, and if our approach to problem solving is genuinely different from theirs, the combination might produce unprecedented results. Admiral Chen looked around the table, reading the faces of her advisors. The way I see it, we have 2 choices. We can continue fighting each other while a cosmic plague destroys everything we're fighting for, or we can work together and maybe find a way to survive. Maya felt compelled to speak again. Admiral, I've seen how Queen Vela's people think about engineering problems. They're incredibly advanced, but they approach everything through established protocols and proven methods. When I built that adapter, I was breaking rules they didn't even know could be broken. And I have seen how humans think about impossible situations, Queen Vela added. You find solutions where others see only problems. When my people encounter the impossible, we seek better technology. When humans encounter the impossible, you redefine what is possible. The conference room was quiet for several minutes as everyone considered the implications. Finally, Admiral Chen spoke. Queen Vela, if we agree to this alliance, what exactly are you proposing? Joint command structure for all defensive operations, Queen Vela replied immediately. Shared facilities for research and development. Cultural exchange programs to ensure our peoples understand each other. And full integration of our surviving population with human colonies, under human government oversight if necessary. General Harrison looked skeptical. You're talking about surrendering your independence. I am talking about survival, Queen Vela corrected. Independence means nothing if there is no one left to be independent. Maya found herself thinking about the children she had helped save on the alien ship, about the families that had been fleeing from world to world as their galaxy died around them. She thought about Earth's cities and colonies, about the billions of humans who had no idea that a cosmic threat was approaching. I support the alliance, Maya said, causing everyone to look at her in surprise. Not just because of the threat we're facing, but because of what we can accomplish together. In 8 hours of working with Queen Vela's people, I learned more about advanced engineering than I did in 4 years of university. Dr. Kim nodded. The scientific potential alone justifies cooperation. And if the threat is real, we need every advantage we can get. Admiral Chen looked at General Harrison. Your assessment. Harrison was quiet for a long moment. I don't like it. I don't trust them. But if there's really something out there that can destroy star systems, we need allies more than we need revenge. Admiral Chen turned to Queen Vela. If we agree to this alliance, I want you to understand that humanity will not be junior partners. This will be a true partnership, with shared leadership and shared responsibilities. I would expect nothing less, Queen Vela replied. Your species has already proven that you do not accept subordinate roles. Maya felt something shifting in the room, a change in the air as former enemies began to think like potential allies. It was not forgiveness, not yet, and it was not trust. But it was hope. Then we have an agreement in principle, Admiral Chen said. The details will take months to work out, but we begin immediate cooperation on research and defense preparations. 6 months later, Maya stood in the observation deck of humanity's first joint human-Zephyrian space station. Through the viewing wall, she could see the combined fleet preparing for battle against the approaching void plague. Human ships with angular, practical designs flew alongside elegant Zephyrian vessels that looked like living crystals. Beside her, Queen Vela reviewed the latest reports from their research teams. The alien leader now wore a specially designed uniform that combined elements of both cultures, marking her new role as co-director of the Alliance Defense Forces. The new shield generators are working beyond all expectations, Queen Vela reported. Your engineers found a way to strengthen our barrier technology using human power distribution methods. Maya smiled. And your people taught us how to build materials that can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Neither of us could have developed these defenses alone. Through the station's communication system, they could hear children's voices from the education levels below. Human and Zephyrian young people were learning together, sharing languages and ideas, growing up as citizens of two worlds rather than enemies from different species. My queen, came a voice from the communication panel. It was Captain Ren, now serving as tactical coordinator for the combined fleet. Long-range sensors indicate the void plague will reach the outer system defensive line in 72 hours. Queen Vela activated her command interface. All stations, this is Defense Command. Begin final preparations for Operation Unity. Maya watched the fleet moving into position, hundreds of ships working together with precision that would have been impossible 6 months earlier. The approaching darkness was still terrifying, still potentially unstoppable. But humanity and the Zephyrians would face it together, with technology and strategies that neither species could have imagined alone. As the first human-alien children laughed together in the levels below, Maya knew that regardless of what happened in the coming battle, both species had already won something important. They had learned that the universe was less lonely than they had thought, and that sometimes the greatest victories came not from defeating enemies, but from discovering they never had to be enemies at all. The real test was still coming. But they would face it together.